In this video, I'll show you how I painted my door breach base. Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of this brushstroke basing guide. If you've not already watched part 1, then please click this link above, which will take you through the steps of how I built the base so far. And in this video, I'm now going to show you the steps on how I painted it. So let's get started. Okay, so to start off with, I'm going to paint both sides of the concrete wall with a base coat of DAWNSTONE. It's important to try and keep your base layers as smooth as possible, so for this I've thinned the DAWNSTONE with a touch of water, and I'll apply multiple layers until I've built up a solid colour. Next, I'll base coat the doors, door frame and any other steel areas with graphite from Darkstar paints. Just as I did with the DAWNSTONE, I've added a touch of water to make the paint flow evenly from the brush, and if necessary I'll apply as multiple layers to build up a solid colour. If you're not familiar with metallics from Darkstar, then they're definitely worth checking out, and I'll post a link in the description below. Okay, so that's starting to look really nice. So the next base colour I'm going to apply is for all the brass details on the base, and for that I'm going to use another Darkstar paint, which is going to be brass. And for this colour, I'm thinking I'm going to apply it in two different ways. So for the carved detail up at the top of the doorway, I'm going to apply it as a thinned down single layer, so you can still see some of the base colour underneath, to try and give the impression of a faded gilt look. And then for the other details, I'm going to again apply it thinned down, but this time build it up over multiple layers to be a solid colour. So here you can see the difference between just a single layer and then the solid colour from multiple layers. Moving on to the next base colour, which is going to be for the tiles, and for that I'm going to use RAKARTH Flesh. Just as before, I've thinned this down with a touch of water so that it flows cleanly from the brush, and I'll paint multiple layers to ensure I get a solid finish. Next, I'm going to base coat the ground outside of the door with some RHINOX hide. With those base colours now applied, it's time to add some washes, and the first one is going to be for the tiled area and for the dirt outside the door, and for that I'm going to use some AGRAX EARTHSHADE. The main thing here is just to ensure that you get the colour into all of the crevices and cracks to ensure you get a dark shadow. With that AGRAX wash now fully dry, I'm going to apply a liberal dry brushing of PALLID WYCH flesh to all of the tiles. The next step is I'm going to apply another wash. This time it's going to be to all of the concrete areas, the steel and the brass. And for this I'm going to use NULN oil. So I don't like the ugly streaks the NULN oil has left on the concrete wall, so I'm now going to remove those by stippling with some DAWNSTONE. So the reason I'm stippling on the DAWNSTONE and not applying it as a flat layer is to try and give some interest and variety to the wall rather than it looking very flat. For the next step, I'm going to apply a rust effect to all of the steel areas, and for that I'm going to use GW's technical paint, RYZA Rust. To apply this paint, it's just a case of dry brushing it on and steadily building it up to a level which you're happy with. Now all the messy dry brushing is done, I'm going to clean up the edges of the base and the doorway, and for that I'm going to use some ABADDON black. For the next step, I'm going to add some highlights to the metalwork, which is the steel and the brass, and for that I'm going to use graphite from Darkstar again. So for all the rusted metal areas, I'm just looking to add a bit of wear by adding some scratches and some scuffs along the edges, and maybe pick out the odd rivet or two. And for the brass sections, I'm looking to highlight all of the areas where the light would catch the most. Okay, so now I can start painting in some of the details. I'm going to start off with the wiring on each side of the door, and I'll pick out one wire on each side in MEPHISTON red. Continuing with the wires, I'm going to paint another couple in now with some AVERLAND Sunset. For the remaining wires, this strange coil looking thing, the other detail on the side, and the bullet casings, I'm now going to paint those all in with some HASHUT copper. Next, I'll apply a wash to the copper and wires, and for that I'm going to use AGRAX EARTHSHADE. As a finishing touch to one of the yellow wires, I'm just going to add some black hazard striping using some ABADDON black. A useful tip here for painting stripes is if you rotate your model as you're painting it so that you're always painting in a downstroke, it makes the stripes easier to control and a lot neater. Now to paint the skull on the floor, I'm just going to apply a thick coat of Skeleton Horde contrast paint. So next I'm going to paint in the buttons on the keypad, and for that I'm going to use Administratum Grey. Now I'm going to glaze the keypad buttons with some thinned down CALTH blue clear. So I've thinned this down with some Lamium medium, and the ratio is around 4 parts medium to 1 part CALTH blue. Really sorry for the poor camera work here. I obviously didn't notice the door was blocking the camera from seeing what I was painting. Next, I'm going to highlight all of the copper details with a touch of Liberator Gold. And that's it. The base is now ready for the Space Marine to be added. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and you found it useful. If you have, then please do give it a like. Don't forget you can see more of my work in progress on my Instagram and Facebook pages. If you'd like to see more of these videos, then please do hit that subscribe button and click the notifications bell to be alerted for whenever I add a new video. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.